for the stream to load. Never know how long this stuff takes. I've only started doing this recently. Okay. It looks like that is up. And accurate. Okay, cool. Today we are going to do, it looks like it's another international test. I'm not quite sure. I don't believe it says anywhere on here. October 2010. I believe this is a reproduction test. You can tell because of that kind of stuff. So I'm not quite sure of the authenticity or if this has any typos in it. But that's part of the reason, again, I like to go through these tests before I give them to students to make sure that there aren't any typos and that they are worth using. And also to see if anything is different or new. I want to ensure that the study information, the coaching that I deliver is going to be useful. So anyway, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into this thing. I'm going to go through both the no calculator and calculator sections of the test. And I'm going to try to do it as quickly as I can. Let's see if I can get none wrong at 12:07 near Chicago time. Alright, and I'll explain as I go along. So, linear function, actually it's not even linear, it's 2k plus 3k, that's 5k equals 5, of course k is 1. The graph of the equation, that's exponential graph, so it's going to go up. It has no vertical or horizontal shift, so that is out, that is out, that is out. There's no reflection or anything. This would be a shift down of 2. This, or actually, probably shift down 2. This would be a reflection. This would be a reflection and a shift. There's clearly none of that going on, so it must be A. We have a quadratic function. Again, the table is kind of weird because it's a reproduction test. Quadratic function table shows some of the values, which of the following could be the value of that. Okay, so clearly quadratics, they all have a positive or a negative y-intercept. So the y-intercept is when x is 0. So this guy is negative. That gets rid of b and c, or wait, hold on. Not c. B and D. And at -1 it's 0. And at 1 it's 0. So if it goes from -0 to -4 to 0, this is concave up. It opens up, that opens down, so it's up. C is constant, doesn't mean anything. And that's basically an xy coordinate point, 212. What's the value of C? Okay. It's probably a shortcut to this, but the easiest thing to do is just plug it in. 12 equals 3, 2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus C. So that's 3 times 2 is 12. Okay, 12 plus 8 minus C. I was laughing there because that's going to cancel out to 0. So subtract the 12, that subtracts as well, and you get 0 equals 8 minus C. -8 equals negative C, so of course C is 8. I'm just going to double check, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. 2 squared is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. That's 20. Subtract it over, you still get -8. 8 is C. Okay. Yeah, didn't miss anything. So many people get hung up on this phrase, C is a constant. That's just telling you that it's an actual number. It doesn't give you any actual information to go on, though. It doesn't help. So don't get hung up on stuff like that. It doesn't actually help you solve it. Alright. Linear equation, whatever. How many minutes did this person walk? So they ran for 20 minutes. So which one of these is running? Running is x. So basically they're telling us x is 20. So 11.5, 20 plus 3.5y equals 265. Alright. So none of the rest of that context should matter. I do not believe that any of this is going to be consequential. So just jump right in. So 2 times 11.5 is 23. With the 0 on the end, that's 230. Plus 3.5y equals 265. If you can't multiply like that in your head, a nice shortcut, 11 times 2 is 22, 0.5 times 2 is 1, add it together, you get 23. Practice that. Make sure you can do that. If you can't do that, keep practicing. So 3.5y, subtract that over, you get 35. Clearly y is 10. Because 3.5 times 10 is 35. Just move the decimal over. Fraction over a number, equivalent of course. So dividing a fraction by anything is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, and you can reduce those things to 1 and 3, so this is the same thing as 1 over 3x. Which of the following is true about the measure of BAC? Okay, BAC, they say it's tangent, so that tells us that that's 90 degrees. So what is true of BAC? It's less than 90, or it's equal to 90? Greater than 90? No, it's equal to 90. Cannot be determined. No, the word tangent, they're basically just testing on the definition of the word tangent here. Tangent means that it's equal to 90. Easy as that. What's the value of x for f of x equals 0? So that's basically just telling you where does the function equal 0, and that's at 3. The y value equals 0, so y equals 0 is right there. Pretty simple. And y equals f of x there. Y equals f of x, so there's no shift, there's no modification, it just is as simple as finding the xy coordinate point. That looks like a modified version of a exponential growth function. That's weird. Usually I'll see this as like 1 minus r or something like that. But let's see what's going on. Yeah. Oh, they just want us to rearrange it. Okay, so t equals. So you just start shuffling stuff away. So you're going to divide by p. Anything with p in the numerator is wrong, because we're going to divide that over. So we get a over p equals rt plus 1. Well, t by itself, so minus the 1 divided by r. So a over p minus 1 over r. Let's simplify this. We can split the denominator and do a over p over r, but remember that's the same, like on that other question, it's the same thing as dividing by 1 over r minus 1 over r again. So that's a over pr minus 1 over r. A over pr minus 1 over r. Yeah. Ooh. Volume. They did a good job making that look three-dimensional. Good job. Alright. What's the volume? So the volume of any shape is length times width times height. Or area, sorry, let me back that up. Area of any, or the volume of any shape is the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base on this is the area of this triangle, so 1/2 base times height is 36, so 36. 1/2 of 36 is 18. 18 times 10 is 180. And I encourage you guys, when you're doing these tests, to do exactly that. Name the process that you're going to use, and then do it. Inventory what you need to know for the question before you attempt the question, so that you've got an idea of what you need to find. If I name, oh, I need a base and a height, then that automatically sets my brain looking for the base and the height. The way that you take these tests is sometimes more important than what you know for the test. Because you can know all these concepts, you can know all these things about these questions, but if you don't approach it in the right way, then it's just as good as guessing in some cases. So let's take a look at the next one. Represents the information given in terms of r. Alright, so they just want you to build the equation. They're all linear functions. Some have a shift, whatever. 9 housekeepers on duty. Okay. What is r? That is the number of rooms that they had cleaned. 180 rooms. Half of the rooms were cleaned. So if this function is meant to tell us that they cleaned half the rooms, if I divide that over, I should get half the number of rooms. So I know that this needs to equal 90. There were 9 housekeepers on duty, and they each claimed the same number of rooms R. So 9 times the number of rooms times 2 should equal the number of rooms total. That's tricky. The key here is that they cleaned only half the rooms. I think a lot of kids would miss that. And that the number of rooms, that the total number of, that all the ladies and gents, whoever, the housekeepers, cleaned was half the number of rooms in the hotel. So they only cleaned 90 of them. And if they each claim the same number, it's clearly the number of housekeepers times the number of rooms they each cleaned, not plus. That'd be silly. There's 5K, so the top is K, X and Y. Top is a square. Okay, gonna actually have to read this. There's a relationship between the area Y, so that's area, and the patio, number of paving stones, number. To make the idea, the top surface of each paving stone is square with side length K, so that's equal to K squared. There's 5K. Oh, all of this is a distraction. All you need. Oh no, okay. Maybe you do need the graph a little bit, but it's really weird. Okay, so this is the area of this many stones. So there are 2 pavers, and that gives an area of 8. So one paver presumably has an area of 4, and that tends to track. 16 divided by 4 is 4, 24 divided by 6 is 4. So one paver has an area of 4 feet squared. So K then is 2, because it's a square. Take square root of it. Linear function, negative slope, positive y-intercept. Slope is the same in that format, ax plus by equals c. Slope is negative a over b. So it's a negative slope, so I know that I need to have a positive for both of those. So it's either that one or that one. So it goes down 2 over 5, so a is 2. It is not b, it is d. Negative 2 over 5. Just if I want to be thorough, the y-intercept is c over b. 10 divided by 5 is indeed 2, which does land us there. 10 divided by 2 would be 5, which would be up here, so that is doubly out. This is worth knowing and memorizing. If you want to know why, rearrange this into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and see what your m and b values end up being, and you'll understand why this works. But I'll let that be an exercise for the viewer. System of equations, finally, has no solution. Pay attention to stuff like that. It has no solution. I've trained my brain to latch on to stuff like that. Just like, boom, there it is. If it has no solution, that means they're parallel. Parallel. Different y-intercepts, but same slope. So to get these things to have the same slope, these coefficients have to be proportional. So if I multiply this by negative 2, negative 2n equals 12. Because that would make this negative 6, and that would have the same kind of concept up here. Slope is negative a over b. So here the slope is negative 12 over negative 6. So 2 and negative a over b 3 has to also equal 2, so n equals 6, negative 6. And you get the same thing here, n equals negative 6. So 2 ways to get that one. Boom. So make the slopes the same either by using this method or by making the coefficients the same. In either case, we have to know that no solution means they're parallel lines. An exponent question. Square root 16a to the 16th. So you have to know that you can square root these things separately because they're multiplying. So square root of 16 is 4. Gets rid of those. Square root of a to the 16th. So a to the 16th to the 1/2 power is essentially what that is. And 16 to the 1/2, like exponent raised to exponent, you multiply them. 16 times 1/2 is 8, and there's that. You cannot just square root the exponent. You have to understand that a square root of an exponent halves it. Because of this rule right here, an exponent raised to an exponent multiplies the exponents, and you would be wise to learn all of the exponent rules, the basic ones anyway, and this is one of them, the power of a root. So if you have like a to the b over c, that should be equivalent to the c root of a to the b. The numerator is the power underneath, and the denominator is the power of the root. The grid ends. How am I doing on time? 16 minutes. Almost done. Alright, do we have a linear function? What is this? What? Really? Alright. How is that even a question? What is the slope of the line? Seriously. Alright. Just testing definitions, I guess. Alright, don't miss stuff like that. Just pay attention. System of equations, no hints. What is the value of x? Just get them to cancel, so that's times 3 times 2, you get 9x plus 6y equals 24. 8x minus 6y equals 10. Add those guys together, you get 17x 0y equals 34. X is 2. Can't really read that. Okay, sine x equals cosine. I'm going to assume that that is a 20. Yes, it appears to be a 20. Okay. Whenever you're dealing with sine and cosine, maybe just draw the right triangle. Even if they don't tell you it's a right triangle, sine and cosine are usually defaulting to a right triangle. So cosine of 20, sine of x equals cosine of 20. This feels like the cofunction identity, but let's see what this ends up being. So that's 70. So if we just call this A and C, we'll call that B for the heck of it. So this is cofunction identity. So the cosine of 20 of that 20-degree angle on our triangle is adjacent over hypotenuse, A over C. The sine that is equivalent to that is the other angle, A over C. So sine of the complementary angle, 70, is also A over C, and that is called the cofunction identity. The sine of an angle is equal to cosine of the complement to that angle, 90 minus x. So the sine of 70 is equal to the cosine of 20. That is one worth knowing. Let's see. Sum of solutions. That's usually a question for a quadratic. On quadratic functions, there's a shortcut to that. I don't know if there's a shortcut on absolute value. I have never really thought about it, at least not recently. Last time I did a high school math class was 15 years ago, so let's see. 15, oh Jesus, I'm old, 20 years ago. So this is x minus 2 equals 3, x minus 2 equals negative 3, x equals 5, x equals negative 1. Sum of solutions is 4. I wonder if you could generalize that. This is a speed run, but let's go ahead. X minus a equals b, x minus a equals b, x minus a equals negative b, x equals b plus a, x equals negative b plus a, sum of the solutions, b plus a plus negative b plus a, b's cancel out, and you get 2a is the sum of solutions, and that is the generalization of it. So sum of solutions for an a simple absolute value is 2 times the a position. Notice that it's minus a in the standard here. So if that's plus 7 or something like that, a is negative 7. So 2 times a is the sum of solutions. Cool. For those who are wondering, in the quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, the sum of solutions is negative b over a. And you can do the quadratic formula, take the sum of the solutions, and you'll see why that's true. Always look for these generalizations. Ask why things work. If you understand why things work, you're less confused on them. But anyway, we're at 22 minutes and have one more question to go. B is a positive constant. The sum of solutions is 5. Hey, we're going to end up using it. Crazy. All right, I did not expect that. So the sum of solutions is 5. What is the value of B? Okay, it's actually simpler. We don't actually need to use this to do this question. The solutions to this cubic or fourth degree polynomial are 0, negative 3, and a b. The sum of the solutions, 0 plus negative 3, of course, is negative 3. Negative 3 plus b, they just told us, is 5. So b then must be 8. You don't actually have to expand that. You'd end up getting a fourth degree polynomial anyway, and it ends up being real weird. So be mindful of what they give you. They give you enough if you know how to look for it. Without much further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the calculator part. Boot up the calculator. Pulled one up on the other screen. I'll pull it over here so you can see if I ever use it. Just a basic function calculator. Massive piece of wood, whatever. Okay, so they're giving us a thing here. We're clearly going to just use that. Density equals mass divided by volume. Mass is 10. Volume is 12.5. It's just going to be less than 1. What is the density? Yeah. Already you can see 10 divided by 12 is not going to be 1. It's less than 1, so clearly it must be a. Don't even have to calculate it. Cut out calculation wherever you can. Don't calculate more than absolutely necessary. Whatever. What is the median number? Median is the line. 5. Just read it, just to make sure, because I don't know what else it could be, but let's just read it. Number of seats. Yeah, alright. Here we go. It is now 12:29 a.m. local time. Calf, the offspring of a cow, 62. Gaining 2 pounds every day. Models the weight increasing linear. Decreasing, it's gaining weight, and it's not increasing at different values each time, it's constant rate of change. Some of these questions, man, don't miss them. Linear system, negative slope, negative y-intercept for both. So that one's out. That one's out. Because this has a positive slope. This has a positive slope. Negative slope, negative slope, negative y-intercept, negative y-intercept. Negative slope, negative slope, negative y-intercept, negative y-intercept. Negative y-intercept is -3 and -7. They won't make it this easy, I'm sure. -3, -7. -3, -7. Alright. Check the slopes. The only difference, this line appears to be the same for both. So I'm going to check this line and see if that, I believe this is going to be our answer because that slope is -1/2. So let's check -6, 0 and see if that exists on that line. So -6, yeah, that ends up being 3 minus 3 and 0, so that is indeed our answer. Because this one doesn't even go through that, and we've already eliminated the other two. And if you've already eliminated the other two, you don't have to check them. And we know this one doesn't work because it doesn't go through that one graph. It only has to work once, or it only has to not work once, and you can eliminate it. Oh, that's easy. Just divide by 6. X plus 4 equals 6. This is a classic SAT move. Treat this like it's a variable. A. 6a equals 36. What is a? 6. Train yourself to be able to identify stuff like that. They give you a quantity inside the question and they ask for that same quantity. You don't have to, I see kids all the time. They distribute that 6 and then combine like terms, and then they add like 5 steps to the thing when it's literally just divided over. Okay. Between the skiers and axis odds and taking the action uptake predicted by the line of best fit. So closest to the difference when it was 85. So 85, 80, 90, 85 is here. There's the predicted, there's the actual. Predicted is like 0.5, so 0.5 and 1 can't be bigger than 1, can't be equal to 1, because that's definitely not equal to 1. So that has to be it. And we're looking on these line of best fit things. The prediction is the line, and the actual is the dot. So, just pay attention to that. Okay, just checking the stream, making sure that we're good. Okay. If you guys learned anything so far, do make sure that you follow. I do plan on doing more of these. I don't plan on ever monetizing this. I make enough money doing my tutoring. I want to just do this as a service for whoever wants to benefit from it. So please subscribe, share it with friends, do whatever. I never plan on making money this way. So please do just share it broadly. And if it does ever end up making money, I'll just donate it to other after school inner city tutoring programs or something, who knows. Did X, Y, should be city or PH, whatever the mean of these two things. So this one just simply has more data points. So I'm tempted to say that the mean of this one is bigger because it just has more. So these are the same, these are the same, these are the same, these are the same, these are the same. It actually has a lower average. Everything else is the same, but this one introduces another data point that's lower than the rest. So data set Y is going to get pulled to the left by that data point. So the average of X is greater than the average of Y. I don't even really have to check the others. Yeah, there's no mean is average. If you wanted to calculate it, you could, but that analysis, just see what's the same and eliminate it because they won't be changed by that. The only thing that's different is this 4, and that's going to pull data set Y to the left. It's going to pull it down in its total value. compared to the other data set. And just go from there. Don't actually calculate it. Just understand it conceptually if you can. So we've been given this linear function, an interval, predicted length right to the nearest tenth, 10 minutes. If t is in minutes, t minutes, there it is. Just plug 10 in, move the decimal over 1.25 plus 10.3 is 10.55. So C. 0.25 is the rate of change, length of each cell before, no, it's the rate of change, length, each minute, no, that's the result. It's the growth, the increase in length. Every 10 minutes, no. Increase each minute, that's our guy. That's a very common SAT question, by the way. Make sure you study that one. Ivan plans to save up $5 per day. That's a slope. The graph shows what to follow. Which repair represents the possible amount of money he saved after X days. Okay, so we start with 0. So it needs to be a multiple of 5. They're all good. And if we start with 0, basically the product of this times 5 has to equal that. So that's clearly wrong because 10 times 5 is 50. 5 times 12 is 60. 5 times 8. Wait. Something is wrong. Up to $5 per day. Graph shows the possible amounts of money. So that must be shaded in then on the original exam. It's up to. Okay. So the product of X and 5 has to be greater than the Y value. So it is indeed A. That's critical, up to. And they're doing us a disservice by not having that shaded. If I ever print these out for my kids, I will make sure that this gets shaded in on the printout. Because that is critical information. And you can see that it was slightly shaded originally. 5 times 12 is 60, 5 times 8 of course is 40, 5 times 4 is 20. That's the only one where the product is greater than the result, and I do believe that is going to be our answer. Meaning that he did not save $5 per day. Wonder what this kid's spending his money on. Gumdrops, yo-yos, spinning tops, whatever. Linear function, negative slope, positive y-intercept. It really is that simple. That's the y-intercept. So, line Q is not shown. There we go. Not that simple. Line Q not shown is perpendicular, means that it has the opposite reciprocal slope. So this has a slope of -1, so the other one has a slope of 1. Okay, here's why I would never use this test. It is perpendicular to line P and also passes through something. Passes through what? It never tells us. So this question is impossible to complete on this test. You cannot attempt this because a perpendicular line could indeed go through 0, -1. Could be here. 0, 1 could be here. 1, 1 could be here. -1, 0. -1, 0. It's actually the same. -1, 0 is that one. 0, -1 is that one. 0, 1 is that one. 1, 1 is that one. So can I guess based on the options? Yeah, pardon me. -1, 0 is this line. So to answer A. 0, -1. Answer B. 0, 1. So A and C are on the same line. B and D, it's either B or D, but we can't know, so I'm not going to waste any more time on it. Alright, exponential function. What is the meaning of the 10? That's the beginning value. No. Leading coefficient is the beginning value. A equals P times R raised to the, it could be like 1 plus or minus R, I guess, raised to the TX. P is your initial value, your y-intercept. If we want to prove that L and M are parallel, W and Z have to be equal. Yeah, nothing else. In order for L and M to be parallel, we have to know something about the intersections on both things. Z is the only thing on there, and W and Z would have to be congruent for that to be true. X and Z being congruent does not necessarily make it the case. So that one's out. And these don't even have a Z in them. Data sets again, mean and median. They're the same, except this one pulls that down, that pulls up. They're an equal pull down and a pull up. Everything else the same, so the mean is the same. So what is the same? So 1 is the same. And the median, I'm tempted, hold up. This is why it's important to be well rested when you do this stuff. The mean will not be the same. This guy jumps over to the left. This guy jumps to the right, to here, and then one of these guys jumps to the right. So the mean is not the same. There's not a balanced cancellation. So this minus is 5, or 1, minus 1, plus 1, plus 1 for this data set. So their averages will not be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same number of terms, different quantities, different values rather, so their means are not the same. Median is the middle value. There are 6 terms. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there are 6 terms. So the median is the average of the 2 middle terms. 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Their medians are the average of those 2 values, so the medians are the same. 480BC. Okay, I'm going to try to finish the rest of this in about 20 minutes. I'm going to try to keep myself under an hour today, so I'm going to start explaining less and just start zipping along. I might make some mistakes, so I apologize. But I want to get to bed before 1 a.m. So here we go. Yada yada yada. Which of the following estimate the world population 480 BC? So 44% world population. So what I'm doing here is I'm just reducing this fraction in my head here. Because that's 44 over 100. Oop, I flipped that over. 44 over 100, and just like we used before, you can multiply by its reciprocal. 480 times 100 over 44. 44 and 48 have a common factor of 4, of course. 11. I don't think that reduces any further. I might bust out my calculator because I'm a little lazy. So let's just do the original. 40 divided by 4. I messed something up. Oh, I didn't even. God, I'm an idiot. 49.4 million. Alright, so Persian Empire is 49.4 million. I don't even know what the hell I was trying to do before. 49.4 equals 0.44. Yeah, 480 BC is just the time period. That's a distraction. World. So divide that over. 9.4 divided by 0.44112. There we go. Alright. Sketch plus shows 12 values of the data set. Line of best fit, whatever. Which of the line is the best interpretation of the y-coordinate of the y-intercept? So the y-coordinate of the y-intercept is there. That is the number of things when there's 0 of those things. For the value of x equals 6, no. For value of x equals 0. What? That is just literally the definition of a y-intercept? What is this test? Alright. Some weird answers going on here. So we have a linear function. The x-axis means y equals 0, as shown by all of our answer choices, so we just make y 0. And you get 4x equals q, x equals q over 4. So we have a rate, 20,000 feet. Is the difference between 10 and 30,000. And it took 20 minutes for that to occur, so the rate of growth is, divided by 20, 1,000 feet for every 1 minute. Up to 14 minutes, so 14,000 feet. Oh wait, no. After the climb began, it was 14,000 feet higher than where it was. So 10, that's that one. Cubic function, it's true for all values of x. That's the critical part here. That means the coefficients are the same. So that is a squared term. So we're going to expand the left-hand side, and we're going to get, we don't even have to do the whole thing. X squared plus 2 times 2 is 2x and 2x is 4x plus 4. So b is 4, c is 4, so the sum of those things is 8. I encourage you to work through that one if you're working along with me. Just pause. Could be the graph. K is a positive constant. Okay, that's actually critical here. So as x increases, the numerator gets smaller and the denominator gets bigger. So we're getting to a smaller and smaller number, and it will end up eventually being negative. Okay, when x is 0, we get k over 1, positive. So that gets rid of anything with a negative y-intercept. And this will get smaller and smaller as x increases, and eventually becomes negative, I believe. Yeah. It's almost like they're testing limits. If x increases to infinity, you get negative infinity divided by positive infinity, which equals negative 1. So this thing is approaching negative 1 here. They don't really expect you to know limits, though, so that's kind of an oddball question and a weird way to approach it. Center at 1, 1, and radius 2, so get rid of these guys, because the radius needs to be 2, so that's 2 squared, and 1, 1 has negative minus 1, minus 1, because it's the opposite of the sign on the circle equation. 30, 60, 90 triangle, they want AC, that's 30, that's 10. Memorize those 30, 60, 90 ratios. An exponential function, a plus 1, 1/3 b. Whale. So they're basically telling us that if you increase x by 1, the b value decreases by a third, or to 1/3 of its original value. Okay. Oh, how do I want to do that? Oh, I know it's not that one. Because the rate of growth needs to be, I believe, multiplying by a third. So I believe it's going to be this one. Let's try it out. Let's be thorough here because we want to be perfect, right? So if I plug in 1/3 times 1/12 to the a, there's really nothing you can do here. Plus 1 equals something times b. Can you do this? Maybe just do some test cases. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. So let's try to see if a is 0. If a is 0, we get 1/3. If a becomes 1, we get 1/3 times 1/12, which is 1/36. Which is not the same thing as 1/3 times 1/3. Let's try that here. So we get 0, that's 12. 1 is 4. That does work. 1/3 times 12 is indeed times 4. Or is indeed 4. Let's try that here. 0, you get 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9, which is not. Or 1/3 times 12 is 4, and times 1/3 is 1/9, which does not work. So this one worked for our test point. Let's check another test point just to make sure that it's true. So let's do, I don't know, use an easy one, 2. So if that was 1, that was 1/36. If it goes to 2, that's 144 times 3. That ain't gonna work. If it's 1, 1/3 times 2 is 4. If it goes to 2, that's 12/9, which reduces to 4/3, which is indeed 4 times 1/3, so B is correct. Linear functions, 90% of the volume. V versus total volume. A is the volume that is above the surface. A is equal to 10% of the volume. Because 90% is below, A is the volume that is above. V is the total volume, so A is 10% of the volume. Linear function again here, or maybe just a constant value. Let's see what's going on. Sometimes you just can't get it to scroll into the right position. Alright, ratio of money collected in all 8 states, yada yada, was 11:8. Total of X dollars collected in all 8 states, which expression represents the total amount of money collected in Florida. Okay. The ratio of all 8 to Florida, so all 8 to Florida is 11:8. X was collected in all 8. What is Florida? Yeah, so Florida multiply the reciprocal, so Florida equals X times 8/11. A. 5 minutes. I have 10 questions to go. Oy. All right. Alright, so each data set has 12 numbers, so there's an equal number of terms. This is balanced, so the median is here. This is also balanced, so the median is there. So they have the same median, they have the same same median, same average even, I think. Yeah, because if they're perfectly balanced, they all average right to the middle. Same mean, standard deviation of A is greater. No, standard deviation of B is greater. No, okay. Yeah. Standard deviation is variance. Quadratic, most appropriate. Okay. So it doesn't grow by full increment on the y until here. So that leads me to believe that it's a fraction out front. Plug in 3 for x. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 1/2 is 4 1/2. Too big. 3 squared 9. 9 divided by 4 is 2 1/4. So that's closer. 2 squared is 4. 4 is 1. Yeah, so that works for the first 3. Let's test data point 5. 25 divided by 4. It's a little close to 6. So yeah, it'll be like slightly above at that point. That's okay. It goes exactly through those points there. That seems roughly correct. Okay. Quadratic functions, negative leading coefficient on most. M is a positive constant. Maximum value. Maximum value means that this opens down. That could be it. We want M to be the maximum. So I don't think it's that one. I think it's going to be this one. Or no, it'll be that one. Why that one? This is basically the y-intercept at that point. If we FOIL this out, we'll get x squared plus 2mx plus m squared, all with a negative leading coefficient. So that becomes negative, 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 and that has a y-intercept at negative m squared. And its maximum value is either above or below that. If it's above, if this concave down, let's see, negative 2m x squared, 2m over, yeah, this has a negative maximum, so that's out. That has a maximum of 0, so let's see. Quantity decreased by 45% of the value, so 0.45 decrease is 0.55 remaining. Value of the original quantity in terms of x. Okay, so x is what remains. So when quantity P is decreased by 45%, 55% remains. The resulting value is x. So 0.55 P equals x. P is x over 0.55. Do the math. Figure it out. What is the area in square yards of the forest? 1 mile equals that. Okay. Unit conversions, whenever you're dealing with square miles, you always want to get it into just straight miles, so the square root of 3. Whatever that is, so what is the area in square yards? So it may work without the conversion, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. So 3 square miles. If I want to convert this to yards, so I take the number of miles that we have and I multiply that by yards over miles. So that would be 1760 over 1 times the number of miles that we have, which we just calculated. So this times 1760 gives us that, and then we want this in square yards. So square this gives us that answer. Let's see what it looks like if we just do the straight conversion. If I have 3 square miles times 1760 yards, 1760 times 1760, it's already that times 3 gets you the same thing. Alright, so it worked out either way. Just make sure that you square your units. Student teacher in high school, so students to teachers is 18 to 1. 105 teachers, so multiply number of students equals 18 times 105. Calculate again because I'm lazy. 1890. Almost done. Almost done. Linear function, no solution, b is 2. Alright. Probability that is greater than 1499. So from 1499 to 1999 there are 500 numbers. Yeah. So 500 out of 999. So 0.5, I suppose. That has a rounding situation to it. There are a total of, there are a total of 1,000. So they tell you 1,000. So, oh, why? What am I even doing? It's 0.5. 0.5. Well, 499 to 999. Yeah, I think it's 500. I'm going to be real pissed if it's 501. I think it's 500. System of equations, no hints. What is x plus 2y? Look for these shortcuts. Just subtract that. 3x minus 2x is x. 4y minus 2y is 2y. 35 minus 15 is 20. X minus 2y is 20. They do that stuff all over the place. Train your brain to look for it. So sum of solutions, hey, we mentioned this earlier, opposite of b over a, so 3/2. What is the sum of solutions to the given equation? Sum of solutions, again, interesting. So you can divide the x plus 2 off and you get 0, not 0, 1 equals x minus 5. So x equals 6 for that solution, and the other one is -2, so 4, I'm guessing. Yeah, pretty sure. So let's plug them in. So 6 is 8. 1, 8, yeah, that works. -2 is 0 and 0, so that works, yeah. So 4. Alright. 2 more. Exactly in an hour. Number of registered women voters, P% of the total population of women. What is the value of P to the nearest whole number? Okay. P% of the total population. So women is equal to P over 100 times the total population of women. So total population, so this is T, this is W. And this is all of them. So 81 equals P over 100 times 122. I'm lazy, so again, it's the end of the section. I'm just going to start doing this stuff. 81 times 100 divided by 122 to the nearest whole number, so 66. Random from 45 to 64, so that's this probability of selecting a registered woman voter, 30 out of 42. You could just put that. Oh, they want it as a decimal. That probably wouldn't fit in the grids. To the nearest hundredth. So 0.71, I think. Yeah. Let's check our work. Ah, there's the answer key. That was quick. Usually there's some scrolling to do there. I like how they only give you -8 and assume that you're terrible after that. Alright, capture that. I'm sure I made some mistakes. There's no way I was conscious and coherent through that whole thing. Alright. So 0.71, 66, 4, 3 halves, 20, 0.52, 1890, D, B, C, DB, 25, AC, BBDA, ACB, BDA, 19, C, 18, CBC, DBB, CB. Oh, did I skip that? Yeah, that one was, yeah, I said C. I'm sure I must have said C. I'll go back and rewatch the video, but absolutely that's C. Anyway, 15, D, 14, B, 13, B, A, B, A, D, B, A. Couldn't figure that one out because there's not enough data. A, D, C, A, B, D, C, A, B, D, 3, A, B, A, B, A. Hooray, okay. Got to the calculator part. Let's jam on through here. The answer for that was 70, right? Yeah. 8472, 8472, 3/5. Silly question. B, B, D, B, A, B, B, D, B, A, 10, C, 9, 8, C, D, C, B, D, A, C, D, C, B, D, A, number 5, or 3, A, A, B, A, A, B. Alright. Not a particularly challenging test. There weren't any major curveballs on there. There were some kind of unique ones, some neat little tricks. Go back, watch some of the ones that might have been a little confusing, the ones I went through too quickly, and pause, work through it on your own. And if you watched this whole dang thing, thank you. I hope you learned something, and have an idea that this does not have to be terribly hard. This was a test that I've never looked at before, so it's good to have affirmation that I know what I'm doing. It is good to know that the instruction that I'll be delivering to my students in my office are going to be receiving consistently high quality information. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you did watch, if you found this to be helpful and maybe dry, I don't know if interesting is the right word for it, please do share it with your friends or anybody who you think might benefit. Have a good night.